Salim from Notorious S back with another video, baby. This one I've been looking forward to for a long time. Well, not for a long time, but ever since I decided I wanted to make videos, share my experience, my wisdom, and my point of view about a lot of different subjects when it comes to growing up as a young man in the society we live in today. And I think I knew it was going to be inevitable for me to talk about this, and it's why I dropped out of school. Why did I not pursue higher education? Like, what affected me? What made me take the path that I did, and how did I land here? I wanted to do it in a small format, like I usually do, about 8 to 10 minutes, maybe even less, 6 to 5 minutes. But I'll let this one be however long it needs to be, because I really want to convey the message as clearly as possible. Like, I don't want to restrict myself just because the average of my videos are like 5 to 6 to 8 minutes. I don't really care as long as I really drive the message home, because I think it's important. And I even took my notes. I usually try to do it out the head top. I don't want to rely on my notes because I don't want things to sound like they're scripted, but I still want to have a specific kind of an order. But I digress, and I really want to get into the subject. But yeah, man, why did I drop out of school? Why did I not really keep on going the regular way and doing what people expected me to do? And let me say this: the moment in my life where I dropped out of school, I wasn't that in a specific period where, for the first time in my life, I was in a specific phase where I was gaining awareness of the world around me. Like, I think before that, I never really paid attention to the little details in life and the patterns and the things people were going through. I was just living my life growing up as a young kid, not really paying attention to a lot of to details. And if I did acknowledge and interiorize these details, I never really spent a lot of time thinking about them and how they affected me. I could see that from a third person's view, how they affected other people, but not how they related to me. So for the first time in my life, I was like 16, 17, going on 18. I was looking at the people's lives and what they were going through and questioning everything, right? I was like, why should I pursue higher education, go to university, potentially get into debt just because, like, go through that process thoughtlessly just because somebody else said to me that I should do it. Not really minding my own business, not even sitting down and actually contemplating what I wanted to do with my life and how that related to me. I was just going to go forward because that's what all my friends did. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to do the same thing, or are already considering going to Cégep or college and university just because your peers are going to go there. But we're not all made from the same, we're all not cut from the same cloth, meaning that we don't have to follow the same path. And for me, it was like the perfect storm because I had a little bit of time. And in that period of time, like I said, I was getting awareness and I started reading books, watching videos about entrepreneurship, about business, about, making your way in life. And all these things got me thinking, right? I was like, you know what? Should I really go to school? Because I never really liked school at all. I just went there because that was the only thing that I knew. And if I think about it clearly, the longer I stayed in school, the less I was certain about my future because I wasn't that good. Like, I was really good in everything that had to do with communication and expressing myself. Like, I was good in French because I'm in Montreal, Canada, so we predominantly speak French, even though we have English speakers. I was really good in French, English, history, all these things that basically don't have anything to do with mathematics and science. Everything I was good at communication, dealing with people, interpersonal relationships, making friends. I was that kid that had friends in every social group. Not a lot of friends, but I had friends with guys that were more loners. I had friends that are popular, friends that played sports and whatnot. I could basically fit in a lot of different demographics. So, but I was never really good in the things that typically guaranteed you to be good at school. So I had a little bit of a stress on little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I didn't really know where to go. And in the midst of all this, and when this all began and my mind was starting to race, and I was wondering, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to school? Should I go to school? And the only thing I knew for a fact was that I like money. So I chose accounting, which now in hindsight doesn't really look like the best decision because I hate math and I was really bad at math. I could just barely pass, right? And so in the midst of all this, I joined network marketing. And say what you will about network marketing. A lot of people will say it's a scam, it's an MLM, a pyramid. Look, I'm not here to debate this with you. But what I will say is that it boosted my awareness, my my intelligence, my experience in the workplace, 3 to 5 years minimum. I can guarantee you. Why? Well, because I had to grow up quickly. When I joined, I was 18, and I was really immature. And specifically in the workplace that I was working at, yes, we were working. I was doing network marketing, but it was all oversaw and overseen by the local government, and I was doing financial services. So I was selling investments, selling insurance, and all these things. And you had to deal with a much older crowd. Like, you'd be an 18-year-old having to sell yourself and your financial capabilities to 40-year-olds, 45-year-olds, 28-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and having them either do want to do business with you or not want to do business with you. And I was like finding myself in situations where they would actually, like, you would enter the room and speak to these people, and they would basically size you up in 2 to 5 minutes. Really see how you speak, how you communicate, do you hold eye contact with people, how do you present yourself, do you look the part, do you have the knowledge that you portray yourself to have? Because they don't really care. Like, once they see that you're well put together, they want to see if the image matches the content. Do you know what you're talking about? Can I actually follow you? Right? And having to adapt myself to that world, it didn't come overnight, but it really, for one, it helped me a lot into developing my social cues, like reading people. Because you know how I usually say people say actually that 60 to 75, I don't know what number of communication is nonverbal, really getting in tune with that side of me that I really didn't have. And that most guys don't have, because they don't put themselves in situations where they have to develop skills that are going to be useful. So obviously I didn't stick to that. I ended up, leaving the business, and I'm not going to say the name of it, but I left with a lot of baggage, with positive baggage, a lot of experience, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So having had that experience, it helped me boost my confidence, boost my knowledge of both the financial world and in dealing with people, which for me is for everybody is one of the most important skills you could ever have. Because if you haven't noticed, we live in a world full of people, and those skills are very much transferable to any other endeavor that I really want to do. So I'm grateful for that. But for two, it made me realize that in the same sense that the books that I was reading made me realize that school was not the end all be all, or formal education was not the end all be all in making it in life. Because at that time, what I really was focusing on, if I could be honest, was I was starting to prioritize for the first time in my life my personal education over my formal education. Because at the end of the day, that's my perspective. You could disagree, you could agree, but formal education, and I really didn't pay attention to that before, and I'm talking in hindsight. I'm going back to the mental state that I was in when I was younger. It only prepares you to fit in the mold that society prepared for you. At the end of the day, you could get high-paying jobs, and I'm not knocking that going in formal education, but I'm just saying that if you want more out of life, typically it's not going to be enough. If you look at the most successful people, let's say in the United States, and their history, or most successful entrepreneurs, they typically did not follow the path of formal education, and if they did, that's not what made them successful. They had to borrow the spirit of entrepreneurship and take a risk, because if you actually go to formal education, you're not taking a risk, because you're following a predetermined path. And if you don't struggle during the phase where you have to determine your own path, then the rewards that come along with struggling are going to go to somebody else, to the person that thought of it for you, which is typically the government and the institutions that allow you to get your permit, which is your permit or your license or whatever piece of paper says that you are what you say you are. I'm trying to speak like not too complicated, but you'll notice this about me as well, is like when I want to convey a point, I want to make a message clear, I don't have a choice but to use quote unquote advanced language, which it really isn't, but it's advanced for the typical person of today that doesn't use like a language like that. But anyways, I digress. So I was okay with that. And once I realized, because I was like, I don't mind having to struggle and work hard in my life. I just wanted to know that, you know what, even though you might not have that formal education, if you have the requirements, if you have what it takes inside of you, the willingness to want to work hard, to develop the skills that you need in order to be successful, to have the discipline, the hard work, you'll still be successful. And going in that world allowed me to see people that I knew didn't have formal education. They didn't even have high school diplomas, but making 100 grand, 150 grand, 200 grand, $500,000 a year. doing network marketing, or even any business and under in any way, shape, or form that was legal, moral, and ethical, because it was, it reassured me that if I was willing to put in the work, that I was inevitably going to be successful, because I'm not a lazy bum. You understand? So this just reinforced my decision to want to drop out. And you know what's funny is I found myself in a lot of situations where I was working jobs. You know, I worked at the bank, I worked at, like, you name it, what it was, having more not on paper credentials, but being chosen in positions over people that had the credentials because of my awareness, because of my capability when it came to communication and making friends and having people like me. And I was gaining confidence in that. And it just reinforced everything overall, that, you know what, I did not make the wrong decision. Because I never really felt like I fitted in when I fit in when I was in school. Like, I was, you know, you're turbulent, you speak a lot, you don't really respect order in terms of the classroom, and teachers don't like you because you talk too much, and they call you parents, and you don't really want to focus. And don't get me wrong, I was good at saving information in my mind, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do. So when I went to a space and that I learned about all the other people, you know, that we're exposed to these days because of social media, doing real estate, flipping houses, having car rental businesses, you know, creating products and selling them on platforms, Amazon, affiliate links on YouTube. And I was like, man, that is phenomenal. And it just took a lot of weight off of my shoulders in terms of me fearing not being able to become who I wanted to become because of school. And let me read my notes, because I feel like I'm not making my point as easily or as clearly as I want to. Yeah. So while all that was simmering in my mind, and it was sitting, because it had been for a while, and let me go back to my 18th year. I had been thinking of that for a long time, and the more I read, the more I was thinking about it, the heavier and the harder going to school was for me. I hated it, and I was hating it more and more increasingly as every day went. I was like, man, I hate this shit. I don't want to go. But I was looking for a justification to quit. I really want to quit just because I was a lazy fuck or whatever, right? So I remember like it was yesterday. I think it was my science class in my second semester, I believe, at college. And it was a nice class, by the way. The teacher was teaching us high level science, and he was using like cartoon characters, or like comic book characters, and we were kind of breaking down their abilities and explaining them with science. It was dope. But I remember, man, that day was too much, because at the same time I remember, because I was in network marketing, and I was dressing differently. I was coming in, to school with like a kind of it wasn't a suit. It was like church shoes, the bottom part of a suit, right? The suit pants. And I think I was wearing like, I don't know, you know, whatever teachers wear, cardigans, I don't know what it was, right? And I was dressing a little weirder than typically, and people were looking at me, but I really didn't mind. I was kind of intimidated, for lack of a better word, because I was dressing more different than everybody else. But I remember, and I was like, man, I hate this place. And before the clock, the bell even rang, I just got up and I left, and I never went back. And to this day, I don't regret it, even though I think I fucked up my GPA, whatever it was. It wasn't that good anyways, right? But I never went back. And I told myself, you know what, I'll prove myself right. I'll prove myself right for not going back there, because I know what I have what I have inside, and I'm going to make it. It sounds corny, deadass. It sounds corny, but you know what? It is what it is. Right? So that's the bottom part, though. That's the bottom line. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it regardless. And then I did network marketing for 3 years. I learned so much, you know, and then I didn't feel that fire anymore, that desire to really want to do it for a lot of reasons, which I won't disclose. But I just, you know, I was like, I'm done with it. But then I tried different things. Started working at the bank, making money on the side, but it didn't have the characteristics of what I wanted to have in my life. I want some type of freedom. I want to make big amounts of money. Like, I want to be a big earner, right? Because to me, it's a necessity, not because I'm a materialistic person, but to have the quality of life that I do want to have eventually. I want to make big amounts of money, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. But I told myself, you know what? After all the things that I tried, working at the bank, doing delivery, all these things, I was like, you know what? I need a strategy. I can't just be going around with my head high thinking I'm smarter than everybody else, or like that that I'm happy that I have the experience that I've gathered up, but I'm not using it to give myself a chance at success. And then after all these things that I did, I just stumbled upon YouTube. Because it's funny, because I've been watching the videos for like 2-3 years about a lot of things, about like, how to date, all these things, how to, be a man and all, because all the questions you really ask yourself, just the same way that I'm answering these questions for a lot of you, providing value, I was getting value. I was like, why couldn't I do that? Why couldn't I document my process? Why couldn't I use my condensed experience and give back to people and create value and establish myself in a specific genre, specific niche, and offer value to people to such a high level that they want to give back to me, support me, and then build my online presence and give some sort of value that people are going to be willing to pay me big amounts of money. I'm talking, eventually that's the goal, right? I have my shit written down, like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Why not? Like, the sky's the limit, and it's been proven over and over again. And as much as I respect all these people that I've seen, in front of the screen, I don't think that there's something that they're doing, in all humility, that I couldn't do myself. I don't care if it takes me 2 to 3 to 5 years to get to the same level that it took in 1 year, even though that's really, that's kind of long, but I don't care. I'll do it. What else am I going to do? I don't want to party. I don't want to drink like a madman. All I have is time in front of me right now that I'm ready to dedicate to be successful. So, man, shit, that's all. I got it. Let's go. Like, there's nothing else to talk about. And I'm that type of person too. Like, I don't, because like YouTube had been simmering in my mind. It had been like, I was thinking about it, but I was kind of making excuses for myself, but it didn't take long. I was like, you know what, fuck it. And about a month and a half ago, I was like, yo, you know what? Let me make a video about something I think is interesting. And if you go back to my first video, you'll see that it was like, I just thought about it that afternoon. I was not working. I started filming. I wasn't even sitting down. I didn't have no tripod. I had my phone in my hand. And I just started filming, speaking my mind and giving my thoughts about what was on my mind at that time. Because I used my real life experience and different things that happened to me to really push a message that I think is really important. And I'm not going to stop. You heard me? So, look, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I feel like I've given you the gist of it. I've given you what mattered, my mindset about that, and the reason why I dropped out. And overall, man, fuck the notes. It really is it. And I've talked about it in a few other videos. I don't know when I'm going to release them. But I feel like the world we live in right now is going to give less and less importance to traditional formal education and more to personal education, to what you can really do as opposed to what the paper says you could do, because there's a difference between theory and practice. So listen, man, I'm out of here. If you like the content, subscribe, share, like, because it's free, and I'm gonna see you next time. Okay, peace.